Welcome back to the channel. I'm Kev, and today I'm gonna be moving this shed onto these footings. And I'm gonna do it with this tractor right here. It's the same one that pushed it up on the trailer. It's the same one that pulled it back off the trailer and left it where it's sitting right now. But before I push it forward, I need to bring it back about 6 feet because I made some nice timber ramps for this to slide up onto those footers, and I need more room to get those in there. So before I go forward, I need to go backward. Yes. Well, that went pretty well. Step one complete. And now I've got my timber ramps. These are made out of 2x8s. At each end, I marked 6 inches and then cut a long angle from one mark to the other. And I bundled them together with framing nails. And I think they're heavy duty enough to get the job done. They just need to survive being beaten on by that shed as the weight drags across the top, and that's it. And I think that they'll do just the trick. I do see now that I'm gonna have to dig a grade in the gravel to get the tip of the ramp maybe 2 or 3 inches below the surface of the gravel, because I can see that the skids are wanting to submarine down into the grade as I push across, and I don't want that shed to hit the tip of this ramp and not actually climb up on it. So now that I have them in place, I'm gonna make a couple marks and I'm gonna dig that grade so that they slope down. And then now that I'm thinking about it, I should grab some of those stakes that I used for my concrete forms and hammer those along the edges so that these skids don't push and roll and slide out of place in the process. So right now I'm gonna get this grade cut. And here they are, my timber ramps. I've got the grade cut in, so the nose of them is down there below what my skids are, and I overdug a bit, so I'm hoping that as my skids plow that gravel, the stone will have a place to drop off. That head of material will fall before the skids get to the ramps. And these ramps, I got the stakes in from the other day, and me as a small guy, you know, I can't make those budge even if I tried. But it might be a different story with this big old shed being pushed on there. There's only one way to find out, but I think that these are ready to go. And if we take a look at the other side of the shed, you might recognize these. These are the same boards that I had on the back side when I was pushing this shed up onto the trailer. You can see the marks from the cutting edge of my bucket, and they worked so well that time I figured I'd grab them and bring them over to this side and use them again. I'm gonna try and push low, right? If I push too high on the shed, I feel like it'll create down pressure on the front of the skids, and that's not what I want. So I'm gonna try and be down in here. That's why I rotated them, because the other one's starting to kind of splinter apart. So I'm gonna try and push low and keep it steady going up. I might have to stop a few times and tug it back straight, but I think this is gonna work. And to be completely honest, I'm counting on it working because I don't have a plan B. So let's go for plan A, and we're just gonna assume it'll be okay. Well, we did it. It's on the footings. My gosh, was I anxious that whole time. Something about doing little projects like that, I think, is exhausting just because your heart's pounding. You know, it feels like I just got done running. It definitely releases the adrenaline for sure. But it's up here. It went well. I got the ramps out of here. I got all the chains off and put away, and I tuned in the position on the concrete. I'm happy to report that the dimensions of that form board were correct. All that concrete lands right underneath of these skids. I didn't really see any damage along the way. Unfortunately, I did notice that there's some spots on those skids that are a little gouged out from its journey to its current location. So there'll be some shimming involved to get it level on the floor in here. And I'm kind of curious if I should find a way to shim it on all four corners and maybe in the centers just to get it up off that concrete a little bit. It is all treated lumber, but that concrete's going to hold moisture, and it's going to pass that along to the timbers if I don't get them up off that concrete. So I think I'm going to brainstorm. Let's take a look around these corners and see how close it came in. Now, I'm not going to pretend like I got this on the first try, but you can see that I've got my concrete ending right where this 45 is. And that was how I measured the forms, because I figured there's no need to have concrete all the way out to the end of this shed, because what is it really doing? If I had the forms all the way out to here, just because that's the plane of the structure, that felt wasteful to me. And this kind of gives it like I don't know, some kind of a floating illusion, I suppose. Just a side note, these D-rings have been the real MVP of this whole process. I tell you what, if I didn't have these on here, I'd been in big trouble, because pushing the shed up onto the trailer, it got a little sideways, and I used these D-rings to pull it back. When I was coming off the trailer, it slid sideways. I used these D-rings to straighten it out. And then as I was pushing it up on here, I had to straighten it. And then once I got it on here, to do the final tuning was all by these D-rings. And if I didn't have these D-rings, I don't know what I would have done. I've never done any of like the linking to products before, but I got these off Amazon. I think I'll take the time to figure out how to put a link for those in the description. If you have a project that you're building, I would absolutely recommend those D-rings. I've put them to the test. So now that I've successfully got that back up where I want it, I want to address the area where it was, because the last week of rain that we got, this was an absolute mud hole back here. And I've got this stone that I brought from the other piece of property, and now I'm going to take that and I'm going to utilize most of it to get this done in here. I might bring some around the back to finish tapering that out to the grass. I'm not going to put any behind the shed because I still have to bring that quad port up, and I don't want to have to dig through extra gravel to pour those footings. So I'm going to use what I have there and slope from the tops of those footings, or maybe just a hair below, out to the grass line. I want to make sure that I'm just a touch over the grass line so the water can shed off the gravel and then into the vegetation. Hey baby, You guy boogers. So here we are at the site of really the only damage that the shed took when it was getting moved. Get out of the way. When I was pulling it off the trailer, I had straps coming underneath from that bar on the other side, and that's what was hooked to the tractor. And the angle of it as it came off the trailer, the straps were pushing up on this bottom row of siding, and it just pushed it up far enough to kind of waller out the holes around the nails there. So now it's got this little bit of movement, and of course it gave me this split right here. So what I'm going to do is get a tube of caulk. I think I have a partial in my caulk gun already for windows and doors, some exterior caulk, and I'm going to force it into that seam, and I'm going to push it back up straight, and I'll probably pre-drill some pilot holes, and I'll just face nail it, almost like we're stitching it back together. I'll probably do 2 down here, 2 right here, and then 2 in the next row. And then I'll get a little bit of touch-up paint. This whole shed needs another coat of paint, and I still have the paint to do it. Right now, this is the damage that we're gonna fix, because I think it's about the worst of it, and that needs to be done before the quad port gets pulled this way. So I'm gonna try and create a little separation. Maybe I can just push up on this, and then I'll have a decent sized gap to actually get the caulk into. And I'm just gonna push it right full. And you don't want to have exposed ends on your fiber cement like this, because it will get moisture in there and it will swell up just like pretty much anything. So I do want to make sure I take the time to get this done before it becomes an issue down the road. I'd always rather see squeeze out than have to try and fill a little more later. Well, boy, am I glad that's done. I appreciate you guys checking in on me. I hope you're just as happy to see this shed back on footings as I am. Another project off the list. I'll catch you on the next one.